Hi friends, it's Ashley and welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a reading vlog, and this is one that I'm super excited for because I've been planning this one for a while. So in today's video, as you saw from the title, we are going to be reading pink YA fantasy books. And I'm really excited for this video because I love the color pink. It's my favorite color. And these are all books that I am super excited for. So let's quickly go over the TBR for this video. So the first book I have here is Thorn Season by Kiera, Azar. The second book is The Weaver Bride by Lydia, Gregovic. And then the third and final book is Starchaser by R.M. Gray. So this one, there's a little bit of pink here, but under the dust jacket is this. And also the inside. This one is the second book in a series. So the first book is Night Weavers, and I read this one last year, really enjoyed it. And so I'm really excited to get back into this world and see what happens next. And that being said, I am going to start with Starchaser because this week, because of my work schedule, I won't have much time to give updates while I'm reading. And since this is a sequel, there won't be much I'll be able to say about it without spoiling it anyways, so I thought this would be the perfect one to start off the vlog with. So this series is about pirates, well, a little bit. So the main character, Azar, and her family are pirates, and they live in a world where these beings called Night Weavers, who are magical beings, end up taking over the land, and so a lot of the humans move to the sea to be free. However, one day Azar's family's pirate ship is attacked by a Night Weaver ship, and during the ensuing battle, her older brother Owen is killed and the rest of her family is taken prisoner. So they are brought to land and they're about to be sold off into slavery, but then her family is rescued by this young man who is a part of a prominent Night Weaver family, and his name is Will, and him and his family end up taking in Azar's family and employing them at their household. And meanwhile, while this is happening, Azar is also finding out that she has these special abilities that she should not have that mark her as being cursed. And so Will recognizes these abilities that she has, and so he is helping her to understand them. But also her older brother Owen, his killer, is still out there, and so Azar wants revenge for him, and Will promises to help her get her revenge. And so our story goes from there. And there's also romance in this, and so Will is one of the love interests, but also there's another love interest. So there is a love triangle in here. And so far, I have no idea who the main character is going to end up with. And so far, I really like both love interests. Hi, so I'm here with an update from my kitchen because after this, I'm going to bake something. So it's now Sunday, January 25th, and it's actually like snowing out right now, and supposed to be getting like a lot of snow, and this is like the most significant amount of snow we've gotten for like 3 or 4 years, so it's kind of crazy. But Starchaser I have made significant progress in, and so I am on chapter 23, page 206. And so I've really been enjoying this. Like the first one, it started off with being with a battle, and there's also been like other action since there as well. So this one has been very action-packed like the first one was. And I read the first book, Night Weaver, last year during spring or summertime. So it hasn't been like too long since I read the first book, but just long enough that like I forgot some things. But upon reading this, everything is like coming back to me. So I'm happy about that, because there was a point where they mentioned a character and I was like, oh yeah, I remember him, but I'd forgotten about him until this book mentioned them. And so I found like I've just like easily slipped back into the world. And then the romance, the love triangle has been love triangling in these last 200 pages. So when I read the first book, I was torn on who I liked better, which love interest I liked better. But upon starting this one, at the beginning, I immediately felt myself drawn to a certain love interest over the other one. And I think that's because the other one and like me in this book, like just some of the stuff they've been doing is just like giving red flags in my brain, and I feel like they're hiding something. But then the most recent chapter I just read, I'm like, oh, I like them again. Now I feel like I'm leaning towards them again. And so now I'm like, I don't know again who I want her to end up with. But I'm like, part of me is like, I still feel like they're hiding something, and it could be something big. So I'm like, what is going on there? I don't know. But what I enjoy even more than the romance in this book was the family bonds. So Aster has a lot of siblings, and I just love seeing their relationship so much and just seeing their interactions. It also makes me really happy that on the inside flap of the book there is a family tree, and so it has all her siblings and all their ages. So I love like referring back to this so I can like remember how old each character is. And I just absolutely love like their family dynamic and how much they care about each other and protect each other. It just makes my heart so happy. And I also really hope that nothing happens to any of them, because if something happens to any of them, I'm going to be like devastated. Also, I just want to mention that, so the title of this book refers to a pirate ship, the Starchaser, and that's such like a cool name for the pirate ship. And also in the first book, Aster's family's pirate ship was called the Lightbringer. So I feel like the pirate ship names in this book are just so awesome. So yeah, I feel like I can't say too much more without giving stuff away, but just know that I've been having a good time, that the romance has been romancing, that the plot has been plotting, there's been politics, action, adventure, so much going on already. And now the reason why I'm in my kitchen is I'm gonna make strawberry cupcakes. And I'm just gonna use a box mix, because as much as I like love making some stuff from scratch, sometimes I just want to make something from box because it's easy and simple. And I've made strawberry cupcakes from a box before, and they always taste really good. I haven't used this mix before. I think the one I usually use is Pillsbury, but I couldn't get that, so we got this. And then also gonna put strawberry frosting on them. And also they're pink, so it fits the theme of this video very well. And also this video has been making me think about like other pink snacks that I really like as well. And another one of those is strawberry Chex Mix, which technically itself isn't pink, but the package is pink. And a couple others that come to mind are strawberry Pocky Sticks that are really good. And also like strawberry wafer cookies, those are also really good. Which, let me know down below if you have like any favorite pink snacks. But I am gonna start this now. So I finished Starchaser. I'm giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this, but not quite as much as the first one. So the plot twists in this were really plot twisting. Like there were so many plot twists near the end of this book, like my head was spinning a little bit, and all the plot twists did make sense. So that made me happy, because my biggest pet peeve is when plot twists don't make sense and when they kind of just like fall from the sky. I hate that. I will say though that like there was so many plot twists in this towards the end that I did feel a little bit overwhelmed by all of them. So I could have done with like maybe just a little bit less of that. And then the romance in here, so I was enjoying the romance in the beginning, but then like kind of in the second half of the book, I feel like the romance felt like it was going in circles a little bit and it didn't really get much development. But I found out while I was reading this that this is a trilogy. For whatever reason in my brain, I was thinking it was a duology, but it's actually a trilogy. So there's still one more book to come after this. And so, like, it makes sense that the romance kind of in the second one kind of just like went in circles a little bit, because obviously it's not going to be resolved until the last book. And at this point, I'm back to being like, I don't know who I want Aster to end up with. And I feel like whoever she does end up with, I'm going to feel like really bad for the person she doesn't end up with, because I like both the love interests. And then I really did like how this ended. I like how it ended on like a hopeful note, and you have like very strong feelings of family bonds and friendship bonds at the end of this book that I really liked. And I would say that I enjoyed the family bonds and the friendship bonds in this book more than I enjoyed the romance in this book. So that is that, and this is the first series that I have continued in 2026, and one of my goals for this new year is try to be better at continuing series and finishing them, so we're off to a good start with this one. So next, I'm either going to pick up The Weaver Bride or Thorn season, and I'm not sure which one of these I want to read next. So I think what I'm going to do to decide is read the first line of each book and see which one grabs my attention more. So let's start with Thorn season. Of all the treasonous acts I've ever committed, this shouldn't have been the one to get me caught. So that's intriguing. And then The Weaver Bride. It was his watch fob that drew me to him initially. So I think going by that, I'm going to start with Thorn season, because I feel like this line made me a little more intrigued about exactly what is going on. So we're going to read this one next. So this one, on the inside flap, it says, an heiress possessing illegal magic who has more to lose than just her secrets. A harsh and glittering royal court where the threat of discovery lurks around every corner. Two beguiling and very dangerous men who might be her salvation or her ruin. It's rose season at the palace, but survival will depend on becoming the most vicious of thorns. Hi, so I'm here with an update on Thorn season because I have made it to chapter 15, page 136. And so I wanted to give a quick little update before I head off to work this afternoon. So far I'm happy to say that I'm really enjoying this. I'm having a lot of fun with this book so far. And the magic system and the world building in this so far has been especially intriguing and fascinating. So in the world of this book, there are people who have magic who are called wielders. And wielders have these specters, and that is how they manifest magic. And a specter is kind of like a spirit that the wielder can project from their body, and they can use it to do certain things like unlocking doors, levitating items, creating a barrier. And the only person that can see the specter is the wielder themselves. And so to anyone else, any other outsider, the wielder specter is invisible. And so say a wielder is using their specter to like toss a coin up and down into the air. The wielder can see their specter, but an outside observer would just see a coin just flipping up and down in the air by itself. And our main female character, Alyssa, she is a wielder, but she has to hide her powers because the kingdom that she lives in, wielders are hunted down and killed by hunters who work for the king. And so her position and the fact that people with powers are hunted down in this world is giving me Heartless Hunter vibes. And this one is also like very fast-paced and action-packed so far, like this one was. And similar to this one of the love interests in here is also a hunter with a tragic backstory. And his name is Garrett, and his birth parents were killed by wielders, and then he was taken in by the family that is the main hunter family in this kingdom. But unlike in Heartless Hunter, he is actually a childhood friend of Alyssa. And so they grew up together, they played together, they got into mischief together, and he always said that he would never become a hunter. And she really trusted him, and she told him her secret that she is a wielder. And even though he said he would never join the hunters, when he turns 13, his adopted father ends up dying, and he ends up joining the hunters. And so because of that, Alyssa felt betrayed, and she hasn't really interacted with him much over the last 5 years. And he also like pushed her away. But it is clear, like in the beginning of this book, through the interactions and also by the fact that he knows that she is a wielder but hasn't told anyone, that he still cares about her. And so when they interact in this book, you can just like feel his yearning and his angst towards her. And a lot of times like he'll be wearing the mask of the hunter where he like pretends to be indifferent towards her. But then like there's times when that mask slips and you just see that he cares about her and that he's just like in an impossible position. And I love the yearning and the angst from him so far. And then Alyssa is still like feeling kind of like betrayed and grappling with those feelings of betrayal. So she kind of sometimes seems like she hates him, but then at other times she like yearns for like the boy and the friend that she lost. And the only thing that has slightly annoyed me so far with the relationship is there has been times when he has like kind of offered her an olive branch, a chance to like mend their relationship, and she has like pushed him away all those multiple times. Like she's letting her feelings of betrayal from 6 years ago kind of just like take over and push him away. And in the beginning I was like, okay, that's fine, like he betrayed you, it's understandable. But then you learn some stuff in this about him and his situation. And then after that, again, he offers her a chance to mend the relationship. And she still pushes him away. And I'm like, okay, at some point, girl, you have to give him another chance. Because it is clear that he still really cares for you. Just by the fact that you are still alive and he hasn't sold you out. But anyways, moving on from that, I said that he was one of our love interests, so this does indeed have a love triangle, so there is another love interest, and he is a wielder. And he actually comes from another kingdom, and he comes from a kingdom where the wielders are in charge, and so wielders and normal people live together. And he ends up coming as an ambassador from that kingdom to Alyssa's kingdom, under the guise of attending Rose Season in Alyssa's kingdom. So Rose Season in this book is the social season for the nobles in here. It lasts 6 weeks long. And during your 18th season, at the end of Rose Season, you are expected to swear loyalty to the king. And so this is Alyssa's 18th season. And so it's mandatory for her to be there the first day to kick off Rose Season, and then the last day where she swears loyalty to the king. But the other days are optional. Like, it's strongly expected that you'll stay the whole season in the castle, but it's not completely mandatory. Only the first day and the last day you must. And so at first she's not planning to stay that whole season in the castle because it's a dangerous place for her to be, because there is the king who hates wielders, and so if he ever found out she was a wielder, then that would be game over for her. And also the king has his eye on her because he's interested in her and he wants to marry her, and so that makes it even more dangerous. But some things end up happening, and now she has to find this certain item in order to prevent like the senseless death of many other wielders. And also, if she doesn't find this item, it could also put her father's life in jeopardy as well. And so she does end up going to stay at the court for Rose season. And so that's about where I'm at in the story so far, where she has just gone to stay at court. And so also at court is the wielder love interest and Garrett, who him and Alyssa have kind of entered into an uneasy alliance in order to find this item. Yeah, I just think this book is going to be so much fun. I think especially the romance is going to be a lot of fun. Like, I'm already really enjoying her interactions between both love interests, and I'm already loving like the bits of like angst and yearning that we're getting. And I already talked a little bit about her interactions with Garrett, but also her interactions with the wielder love interest have been so good so far too. And in her interactions with him, she kind of has to pretend not to like him and kind of like look down upon him because he's a wielder, but at the same time, like, he's one of the first wielders that she has ever met, and so she wants to know more about him and wants to learn more about him because he is like her. And you can also see from him, like, he also kind of like wears that mask of indifference, but there are times like already when he's like kind of let it slip, and you've gotten glimpses of like his softer side already as well, which I just love. And then in addition to all that, there's also an intriguing mystery going on in here as well, which is the mystery of who has the missing item that Alyssa is trying to find and who is causing like all the chaos because they have this item. And so far on that end, I don't really have any ideas who it is, but maybe as time goes on, I might be able to start piecing together the pieces of that mystery. And this book is also already giving me that feeling of like not wanting to put it down and just wanted to continue reading to see like more of the characters in the world and just to find out what's going to happen next. But unfortunately, I cannot do that today because I have to go to work. But I will sneak in more reading today while I'm on my lunch break. So I finished Thorn season, and I'm sad to say that this book ended up not being for me. So halfway through this book, things unexpectedly took a dark turn and things got like really dark. And I'm not a fan of overly dark books. A book is gonna have like a dark plot or dark elements, and I need something to balance that out, whether that be like a fun romance or some fun side characters. And in my last update, I said that I was having fun, but when the book took the dark turn that it did, all like that funness went away. And I actually almost stopped reading this, but I continued on because there was about 100 pages of like really dark stuff going on with like no fun stuff. And then one of the love interests came in and brought like a little light into the darkness of the story. And so I enjoyed that part. But then after that, like, things got dark again. And I continued reading because I wanted to see how it was going to end, but I kind of had to like push myself through the last bit of this book. And speaking of like the romance, there isn't really a lot of romance in here, really. So you have like some teasing of it at the beginning, but then, and something that happens like in the middle, but then like it kind of just goes away. And I personally would have liked more romance in this book, but it's really not a romance-focused book. It's much more focused like on the plot. It's very plot-heavy. And the plot is solid. It's twisty-turny. It'll keep you on your toes. So like if you are a plot reader and you like darker books, then this may be the book for you. But if you're like me and you like lighter books, or your dark books balanced out by lighter, funner moments and a heavy emphasis on romance, then this one probably won't be for you. I will say though, I did like how this ended. Like, the ending felt satisfying. But on that note, it is the first book in a series, and there is a epilogue at the end of here, and the epilogue suggests that like in the next book is suggests that the next book's going to be just as dark, and so I'm not going to be continuing the series just because it's just not my type of book. Like, I'd rather spend my time reading things that are a little lighter, a little happier. And this also kind of turns into a revenge story, which again, I'm not the biggest fan of revenge stories either. And so I'm just kind of sad that I didn't love this like I expected I was going to, like I wanted to, because this is like a really gorgeous book. And so I would love to keep it on my bookshelves, but since I didn't really fully enjoy it, I'm probably going to end up unhauling it. So moving on, I'm going to read The Weaver Bride next, and I'm hoping this one is lighter and more fun and also has more romance in it, which I think it should, because a little blurb on here from another author says, "A stunning tale of forbidden love." And also the sprayed edges say, "Love is a weapon." And also the story centers around our main female character teaming up with the love interest to solve a mystery. Okay, apparently if you're a silk witch and you don't find a husband by your 21st birthday, you're banished to the cloisters, which are fortress-like institutions. Like, that seems a little extreme. So I finished The Weaver Bride. I didn't give any updates while I was reading, but I finished this, and I'm sad to say that this one also ended up being not like really for me. And like Thorn season, this one was also kind of on the darker side. I would say not quite as dark as Thorn season. And so at first, when I first started this, I was really excited and I was enjoying the beginning. I really liked like the magic system and the foundation of the world building that was laid down in the beginning of this book. So in the world of this book, there is magic, and there are two individuals that have magic, and they are the Weavers and the Silk Witches. And so Weavers have magic for the entirety of their lives, and it grows with them as they grow, and Weavers are all men. Whereas Silk Witches are women, and their power doesn't last forever. Their power manifests like during puberty, and it only lasts until their mid-20s, and then it burns out. And their power is in their hair, and their hair is woven into mage silk, which is then used to craft magical items. And as a Silk Witch, you have to marry a Weaver husband by the time you turn 21, or else you'll be sent to the cloisters. And at the cloisters, you just spend your days toiling away and weaving your hair into mage silk. And you would think after a Silk Witch's powers goes away that she would be let go from the cloisters, that she'd be able to leave there. But it's been said that once you enter the cloisters, you never leave. And whereas Weavers have really powerful magic, Silk Witches only have one special talent that is called a magical wit, and it's usually not very strong or powerful. It's kind of viewed as the equivalent of a card trick. And so I thought the whole concept of the Silk Witches and the Weavers was very intriguing and fascinating. But then when I started reading further in, I feel like the first 200 pages of this were kind of a bit slow and underwhelming for me. And I think that's because of the competition aspect of this book, in which she is competing with other girls to become the bride of a Weaver. And this Weaver is none other than the son of the Weaver King, and their family is very powerful and very prominent in the Weaver community. Just found like the beginning of the competition aspect, it just felt like a little boring and underwhelming. And I don't know if that's because over like the past year, I feel like I've been reading a lot of books that have girls competing for someone's hand in marriage. And one of them that comes to mind is The Rose Bargain, and I love The Rose Bargain, so that book like now sets the bar high for any other competition stories that I read. And in that one, the trials the girls had to face were crazy and had me on the edge of my seat, and that's because like the fairy queen in that book, who is doling out the trials, is like insane. She's crazy. And compared to that, these trials just seem underwhelming. And also not too long ago, I read The Swan's Daughter, and that one also has the girls competing for a prince's hand in marriage. And that book was on the more fairy tale whimsical side, and that is more my type of vibes, whereas this book is not whimsical or fairy tale-like at all. Even though the cover makes it seem like it should be, it's not at all. It's definitely more on like the cutthroat side and the darker side of things. And so like those first 200 pages, I was like so afraid I was falling into a reading slump, and I was like, should I continue reading? Should I just DNF this? Because I wasn't enjoying it that much and I was just kind of bored. But then once we hit the 200 page mark, things did get more interested and I started to enjoy it more. And I think that was because at that point, we started getting more into the mystery of what happened to Elliot's sister. So Elliot's sister is the reason that Livette is there, because this is the second time this competition is being hosted. It was hosted last year, but it was called off when Elliot's sister, who was one of the competitors, ended up dying during it. And so Livette is there because Elliot asked her to find out what happened to his sister, the truth behind her death. And in exchange, he promises that he'll use his resources to secure her a weaver husband so she can avoid the fate of going to the cloisters. And speaking of Elliot's, our love interest in this story, that was the other thing about this book that didn't completely click with me, that was a little underwhelming for me, was the romance in here. I feel like the romance between Elliot and Livette was it felt very like hot and cold to me. I just feel like I needed more time of them together. I feel like they do have scenes in this book, but I wanted more. I just wanted to see them interact more. I feel like overall the romance did come across as a little underdeveloped in here. But also, that being said, this is the first book in a duology, so it's possible that that romance will get more developed in book 2, which I do not plan to continue on with the series just because, like I said, it's not really my kind of book. It's just a little bit more on the darker side, and I feel like Thorn season, it doesn't have enough softer, gentler, happy moments to kind of balance out that darkness. For example, in The Rose Bargain and in The Swan's Daughter, our main female character gets to know the competitors in the competition, and she kind of like becomes friends with them, and you have like a little bit of found family going on with them. And that was just like heartwarming. And here you don't get any of that. Like none of the girls really become friends. Like some of them are a little bit reluctant allies, but you don't get that feeling of friendship among them. That feeling of camaraderie that's like absent in here. And for a lot of this book, like our main female character is kind of just on her own. Like Elliot helps her a little bit, but for most of the book, she is on her own. And again, like Thorn season, I do feel like this book is very plot driven rather than character driven. And again, I am more of a character driven reader than a plot driven reader. And so those are my thoughts on The Weaver Bride. I wish I had loved this, but I just didn't. Like, it wasn't a bad book at all. I feel like if you like darker stories and plot-driven stories and cutthroat court politics, that you would enjoy this. And so those are all 3 books that I read. I am a little sad that I didn't love these books because I love the covers and the color. They're my favorite color. And so I wished I loved them, but they do say don't judge a book by its cover. However, I feel like this video has just made me more determined to find more books with pink covers and to find ones that I love. So potentially there might be another video like this in the future because I'm stubborn. But anyways, if you read any of these books, let me know down below what you thought of them. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!